Welcome into Paul Catalina's Top 5. We continue our run of Disruptors with the SEC this week. Of course, brought to you by Texas Beef House. Use our promo code 365sports. This is the last little nugget before we go into the weekend. Next week on Tuesday, I'll do the Big 12, but we'll have to see after the playoff rankings are released. Maybe that might be on Wednesday, but we will see. So these are the SEC playoff disruptors. Number 5, Woo Pig Suey, Arkansas. Now, they are, by all intents and purposes, out of this race, but they have upcoming games against Ole Miss, Texas, and Missouri's still on the outside looking in, especially if you still rank them 25th, even though they've had 2 really bad losses. But they've got 3 games against teams that are in the playoff race, are on the outside looking in and need a big win to get back in the playoff race, or are firmly in control of their own destiny, like Texas, and they could shake some things up. That Arkansas-Texas game, I'm telling you right now, will be one to watch. It'll be a nice primer for A&M and Texas at the end of the year. But Sam Pittman has probably saved his job at Arkansas, and they're moving forward. Taylen Green, really exciting. You should tune in and watch the Hogs when you get a chance. Number 4, Ole Miss. One of the teams that Arkansas plays, but Ole Miss in particular, they're on the outside looking in after losses to Kentucky and LSU. And even if they went out at 10-2, there could be other 10-2 teams, like say LSU could wind up 10-2. Well, LSU beat them, so they would go in over Ole Miss. Well, they have games coming up against Georgia, and, well, that's it. But if they beat Georgia, that throws a wrench in Georgia's machine because that would be a second loss for the Dogs. So Ole Miss can find their way into the playoff, but they're going to have to beat Georgia to do it. That loss against Georgia, if it happens, would probably be the death knell for the Rebs, and maybe even Lane Kiffin's time in Oxford, because he might jump to another job, the Gators, at the end of the season, because he's probably the top candidate in Gainesville should Billy Napier in fact get fired, but we'll talk about him in a second. Number 3, South Carolina. The Cardiac Kids. They're in Columbia. They've had some games that could have already put Alabama out of the playoff had they won that one, and LSU as well. Like, those 2 teams would be out of the playoff had South Carolina put it off, and of course, they would be right in the thick of it had they. But they have A&M this weekend. They have Mizzou, and another team that can affect a conference outside of theirs, they have Clemson at the end of the year. So, at any point, if they get a big upset, they can knock a team out of the playoffs or put them behind it and needing help from other teams. So watch out for South Carolina. Here's Ric Flair doing something he was paid to do. He doesn't care about them at all. Number 2, Vanderbilt, the story of the year. By the way, South Carolina and Vanderbilt, that could be a fun one coming up this weekend, or next weekend, I'm sorry. Vanderbilt already almost disrupted Texas. They certainly disrupted Alabama, but they still have LSU and Tennessee on the schedule. Both teams very much in the thick of the playoff race that do not need a loss to Vanderbilt. That would be LSU's 3rd should they not lose before then. But Vanderbilt, a team to watch out for, and we know they're scary because of El Ringon, Diego Pavia. And finally, the team that is number 1 that could really wreck things, Billy Napier and the Florida Gators. Is that likely? Probably not. But they're not quite as bad as we all thought they were going to be. They're 4-4 right now. Now, could they finish, let's say, 5-7 because their last game is against one of the worst teams in the country, but we need to talk about them? But coming up, Georgia this week, then Texas, then LSU, then Ole Miss. All teams in the playoff hunt. A loss to Florida by any of them would be an absolute killer. And if, say, they got 2 of them, they might even save this guy's job. Think about that. He was a dead man walking a month ago, but now he's been giving a gift and a curse. The gift is you run through this schedule pretty decently at 2-2, or maybe even 3-1, with that one loss maybe being to like Texas. My gosh, that could be incredible. DJ Lagway on the way up. Billy Napier's figured some things out, maybe brings in a new play caller next year. Don't think that's going to happen because the back end of that schedule is a monster, well, until Thanksgiving weekend, and then they get a break. But Billy Napier in Florida could be the biggest playoff disruptor of all the playoff disruptors because they got 4 teams down the stretch in their last 5 games that all, I guess they're 4-3, I'm sorry, in their last 5 games that all could be in the playoff. Unbelievable that this could affect it that much. This is the top 5. We're done for the weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Bye.